So welcome back, everyone. Today we're going to talk about a topic that's rather interesting. So have you ever wondered how computers and how AI actually understand what we're trying to tell it? Like how does it process the knowledge, right? So today we're going to talk about this very interesting idea of how knowledge is represented in AI. Luca?
Yes, this is a fascinating topic because obviously, as humans, we store and represent information in a very personal way, even across humans. I mean, there are people that are more, visual thinkers, others that are more logical thinkers. So, computers obviously are deterministic machines. And they need a structure. They need to represent and store information in a way that is easily accessible and easily manipulated. So what we do with knowledge representation is really to define what are the rules and what are the practices to do these two things: representation and the manipulation of data.
Okay, so fundamentally then we have to really determine what exactly is knowledge and how is it broken down. Make sense?
Yes, correct. And there are different types of knowledge. As you can imagine, there are objective facts, that declarative knowledge that it's so actually difficult to spot in real life because it can be confused quite easily with opinions. Then there is a second type of knowledge which is procedural nature. So we are looking at rules, strategies, imperatives. And then there is knowledge about knowledge. This is what we call meta knowledge, right? Finally, we have heuristic knowledge, which it's very, very popular among humans. So a lot of people appreciate and understand things, and they learn by example. So this is the kind of knowledge I'm referring to here. And finally, there is a structural knowledge. So a type of knowledge that creates links and relationships between concepts and parts and essentially make sense of a broader pool of information.
All right. So given these types of knowledge, is AI then able to parse out according to the types of what it can represent, or is there a limit, or is there a specific category for each? Like how would an object be?
Yeah, well, there are different techniques and there are different tools that we can use. Let me pick one so that we can understand each other. Let's say that we want to implement or store a structural knowledge. Okay, so the first thing that comes to mind is relational databases. So databases that are essentially like Excel tables linked together with relations, hence the name relational databases. A more modern data structure and tool is called graph databases, and this is really an exciting technology that is machine learning friendly, or more machine learning friendly than relational databases, that represents data as a graph. And each type of or each node contains a unit or an atomic unit of information, and all these units or atoms of information are linked together with a very dense type of graph.
So what exactly do you represent, right, for the data, right? Can you represent objects? How do you represent meta knowledge? Is there a way of addressing the different types of knowledges apart from the structural?
Well, again, it depends what type of knowledge you want to represent, but typically what we represent can be just at a very core and a very low level. It could be numbers, it could be text, it could be documents, or more broadly speaking, objects. We could also store events. Okay, so in this case, instead of numbers, there would be a date. There would be some information around attached to that date. It could be performance, so it could be a quantitative understanding of the behavior of an algorithm or of another entity, or it could be a knowledge base. So it could be a group of sentences or a group of rules. So there is a variety of different entities that I'm not going to enumerate here, but the key point is that depending on the type of knowledge that you want to represent, you will have obviously related different types of meta information to render, and then you will then pick the most appropriate technique based on these two choices.
Okay, so that's quite interesting. So first is that you have to look at the knowledge and how it's actually represented, and then you adapt to that, right, regarding what it is and how you can use AI and like machine learning to specifically store this type of data or to label this type, right, to determine like what is an object, how is it different from an event, from a performance, or from meta knowledge. Am I understanding correctly?
Yes, and when it comes to knowledge representation, there's no. I mean, it's a very open field of research, and I imagine that there are going to be new paradigms and new techniques that in the future will speed up and will increase the ability of computers to access information and to render that information available to humans.
All right, perfect. Let's end on that. Thank you, Luca. This has been incredibly informative. And for all of you watching, remember to like and subscribe, and we'll see you all in the next episode. Thank you.